What's up, guys? I'm super excited to show you something that's been in the works for a really long time. You've maybe noticed it on my channel or on my Instagram already, but I've always really wanted my own board to climb on that's at my house, and so this is the process of how I both made and set and collected holds and stuff for my own home wall. So come on in.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Mom, did you want any coffee?
Sure.
So I bought a house mostly so that I could have a garage home wall, and we this morning so far have taken everything out of the garage, completely gutted it. Like there was like all sorts of stuff in here from the previous owners, and now we are starting the build. It's gonna be a 45-degree wall. It's gonna be mostly made of like plywood, 2x4s, 2x6s, and then these lovely guys, which are what are they? Engineered wood, Noah?
Yeah, they're laminated veneer lumber.
Laminated veneer lumber, and they're like super durable, and that's gonna be like the main structure of the wall. And so we're getting started, and I'm psyched.
Basically, the beam.
I see.
The beam
Okay.
needs to go as close against the back of the wall, basically. Okay. So one of the important things is to figure out the exact distance this way, where we want to put the beam, and then get ready and like height also to set it up. I don't think it's actually gonna like
Go
100% to the peak.
Yeah,
of
it
the
doesn't
roof,
need to.
But it can go a little further above.
Yeah.
The line
Follow
of
the angle.
follow the angle of the
get some more height.
roof, so we can get some more height, and we can decide kind of later when we get to that point, like exactly how far it should go.
So what do we think is the very first step now?
Well, I want to get this string to do the layout from Home Depot, which is the one thing. We definitely need to take these things down. I think that's
Okay, we can do that.
that's the very first step. It's really hard to adjust it. Oh my god. Watch your head. It's not gonna be good. Alright, we're through. Good.
You got it?
Yep. That
I
seems
feel like
like
that's
pretty good.
cement, right? Like that seems like a good
Yeah, yeah.
size.
So we'll do.
It's enough. Don't let me go there. Oh my god. There we go.
Oh, you just threw it in the corner.
Work. Oh, he's upside down now.
Is this animal abuse?
There he is. What do I do? He's in a defensive position.
Its legs are creeping me out.
Yeah, they're creepy looking spiders.
No.
This is just our angle.
Oh, cool.
Ah, it looks steep like this.
You know your angles.
That can't be 45.
Yeah, just sort of face there, and then we're gonna measure. Okay. Perfect.
From the center?
They're quite heavy.
Yeah.
Good plan.
What is all really not straight? It's definitely not straight.
It's leaning a little bit.
Yeah, that's okay.
There's more things that are wrong with my house.
No, it's
The
okay.
walls aren't straight.
It's just unique.
Awesome.
Wow. Yeah, you definitely did not fit those LVLs in your truck.
Oh yeah, that's
Fit them on my dad's truck. And he also has a
I just
game-
kind of wanted to check that we have enough space for the wall. I feel like this is perfect because if that's like taut.
You know, been using all my computer tools and
Yeah. It's better to have it be too long than too short.
Nice.
Wow, that is heavy.
Yeah.
On the other side.
And you want to be in the middle? You're the tallest, and then Tom and I can be on the outsides.
Are we doing okay?
Dream team. Yeah.
Put it under. We got an angle though.
Here.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
Good. Yeah.
And now towards the thing, keep going.
This is funny. I'm.
Is it good?
no
We're spotting.
Oh, grab that big.
Okay.
Now we're in. Beautiful.
Hey.
That feels pretty sturdy.
So we can like like mock up the shape here, like angle.
Fully, yes.
Kind of get an idea of what it could look like. So we are at.
Is the laser at 10 1/4?
10 and about 1/4. 3/8.
Okay, so we're end of the first day of the build, and we managed to build the kicker. We made posts and put our engineered lumber, which is our main crossbeam that's holding up the entire wall up. And we also put up a fake joist thing to kind of mimic where the wall is going to be so that we know what it's going to look like. And you can kind of see it behind me. And it's actually starting to kind of resemble a climbing wall, so I'm getting super excited. Yes.
Scientific diagnosis.
Can't see it. So we're starting day 2 of the build, and today we're going to hopefully have, by the end of the day, basically the skeleton of the climbing wall. So it should just need plywood. If we go really fast, we can maybe get the plywood up to day 2. But we're basically going to put all of these like big pieces of wood behind me up at the angle of a 45, and then put the plywood on top of that. We also need to finish securing our beams, which is like the base of the wall, and the whole structure of the wall kind of revolves around that. So we need to make sure we do that, and then we'll put all those up. So, psyched. Good.
Let her rip.
One, you can see the
Boy, it's
notch
gonna
cut.
go. It's almost gonna go.
It's
Close.
yeah.
But once you cut the notch, you're gonna get some more length.
Yeah,
here.
so
They should cut the notch
let's cut
first.
the notch first.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
You got your mark?
Yeah, spot on.
0 wobble.
I want to see from this side.
Give it a little wobble.
Yeah, I mean,
How many of those have you cut?
I don't know. Like at least
Most.
I've drilled a lot of holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad did like the other half, I think. My wrists, it's like a workout. And you have to like crunch. So you're just like crunching and pressing.
yeah,
I'm so psyched.
good progress today.
Yeah, that was really good progress.
Yeah. Once we got the groove of getting those steel pieces
Yeah.
up, we were ready. It was slow at first, but
Step 1 was we had to make a plan. And so I hit up Noah because he has experience with building climbing walls, and I have experience helping with building climbing walls. And so he came over and started by measuring the whole garage, and then drew it up in what?
yeah. So we came over, started out measuring the garage and thinking about kind of what the structure of the wall, what the shape of the wall would be. I drew a little model in Autodesk Fusion 360 just to kind of get an idea of how it would look in the space. We didn't want to necessarily use the garage itself to support the wall. It wasn't a very structurally sound garage, so we tried to make a plan where the wall would essentially support itself, except for some attachments to the floor.
When you're building a wall that's at an angle, it's easiest to have it go off of a kicker, and that's mostly so that you can get your butt off the ground a lot easier. It's just like the most ergonomic design. And so when you're thinking about how high up you want your kicker, you first think about pads and where they're going to go, but then also how your foot, when you're starting a climb, is going to go, and if your heel will hit the ground when you're standing up off a foot. So it's a little bit taller than like the height of your foot, basically.
So the primary structure of the wall is supported by these two columns on this end and then on the opposing end. And then those columns support this beam that goes across. And we made the decision to use this beam that's made out of laminated veneer lumber just because we could get a really long beam that's continuous, and we couldn't get normal solid sawn lumber in that length, especially with that dimension. The laminated veneer lumber is a lot stronger than typical lumber. But definitely, this is kind of the important decision to how to support the wall. So if you're uncomfortable determining exactly what support you need, definitely talk to a structural engineer, someone who's qualified to help with that decision. The laminated veneer lumber is these posts are secured to the wall with a couple of concrete anchors, and then they're secured also to the floor with concrete anchors. And then we bolted the beam into the posts to make sure that there's kind of a continuous load path across. So we made the decision on this beam based on understanding how long the distance of span was, and then how large the wall is that we needed to support to determine exactly what size beam we needed to support that.
And then we even bought 2 of them and sandwiched them together, so it's extra strong.
Yeah, so it's 2 beams that were purchased individually. 2 beams that are an inch and 7/8 thick, and they're sandwiched together. It's a lot easier to use 2 beams because they're very, very heavy, so it's easier to lift. We can lift up one at a time versus having one thick beam that would be pretty challenging to lift into place.
It's also probably worth noting that that's probably the most expensive part of this entire build process. Like basically those 2 beams cost the same amount as the rest of the wood combined. Okay, so the next step after we got our LVL beams installed and secured was to put up these structural members or joists, or we can't decide what to call them. They could also be studs. I don't know. They're 16 inches apart, and so that's how we decided how many of them to have. And then the longest ones we did double, and so they're 2x6s, every single one of them. But for the ones that go all the way to the top of the wall, just because the cantilever off of the LVL beam is so much longer, we did those as like sandwiched ones so that they had more support.
We decided to attach the 2x6s to the main support beam with these pieces of angle iron. So this is a 3-inch by 3-inch angle iron that's bolted to the support beam and then bolted to our 2x6s. So we decided to use that method because we have this cantilever situation where our 2x6s go past the beam, which is a bit atypical. We used this angle iron because that worked well for the situation. In order to get the wall, make sure that we had the right angle and make sure that the wall is flat all the way across. There's a few measurement tools that we use to be able to get a good measurement of the angle. So one of them would be a plumb bob. So this is just a string that's hanging down here with a weight, and that gives us a perfectly vertical line from the top to the bottom that we can use to do a little bit of trigonometry and make sure that we get that good 45-degree angle. So simply measuring from the base to the string line and then from that same point to the top, making sure those measurements are identical, make sure that we have that correct 45-degree angle. So we used a plumb bob on each end to make sure to get that 45-degree angle. And then after that, we used another string that runs across the top. So you can see this string up here. And that runs from one end to the other. And that we used to line up each of the individual support beams, which was able to make sure that the wall is nice and straight all the way across because that string is nice and straight, and make sure everything is lined up.
All right, as soon as we got all of our structural members, studs, joists up, we then finished it off by putting these other support beams across, and those are just like double screwed into every single one of them just to add a little bit more of the like shaky support in. And we put some down here and some up at the top. We don't have the plywood yet, but we're gonna get it next, and that's gonna be the next step. And for that, you wanna just make sure that you screw in a lot of times into each and every joist / structural member.
Dude, I'll just pull.
Nice.
Tyler's got the heavy end.
Okay, go on. Clear bad and good side where.
Go as low as you can here.
First.
Meet in the middle.
I can kind of.
That's where you get the fingers out of the way.
Let's slide it this way.
Done.
Wow. All the panels are up.
Yay. All right, so we just finished putting up all the plywood, and basically what you want to make sure you do is align the edges of the plywood with where your studs are. So you can see like this is where our double stud was, so that both of the pieces have a solid structure to screw into. And that's really the only super important thing. And then we had to cut some pieces so that we did align with those studs. Because the wall was 16.5 feet long, which is longer than 2 sheets of plywood, sadly.
To attach the plywood, we used these GRK construction screws, which are a structural screw, and we selected these because they're really good for climbing walls and using them for things where there's a lot of force. They're really strong screws. So it's important with installing the plywood that you get you use enough screws and you have a good screw pattern. So we screwed about every 8 inches along each stud that we have, each 16-inch structural piece, and then along the edges, a little bit closer together along the edges, and especially in the corners, making sure to get enough screwing in the corners so that you have a really good attachment of the plywood across the whole wall.
Okay, so the last thing is, because we didn't get like perfectly amazing plywood, we got some of the less higher end stuff, still high end, but not the highest end. There's some gaps in it because everything wasn't completely straight. Also, the wall wasn't 100% straight. So we're gonna fill that with Bondo, like wood filler, and then paint the whole thing so that you can't see any of the bad marks. Looks pretty good. I got a glossy finish, so it's like a little more like glossy under your fingers so that it hopefully won't take skin too much is the goal. I think it's a semi-gloss. It wasn't like the glossiest one, but my thought there was that matte would maybe feel weird on your fingers. Cause I don't like weird textures. So I got the gloss one because I want to be able to like slide onto holds. Because why you end up getting bad skin a lot of times at gyms is because of the texture on the wall just as much as the texture on the holds. So no texture on the wall, glossy, so you can like come onto holds and not like get bad skin, was what I was thinking. So after we finished screwing in all the rest of the plywood, we put Bondo in the cracks to fill them in, and then you have to sand the Bondo down once it sets. And then once we did that, wiped down the sawdust and then painted it. I chose this color because it's like kind of light, so it's not gonna feel like really like looming over you, I guess. But blue seemed nice and different than other gyms. Oh no!
Oh, that was a big. Oh no! Stop rubbing it!
I made it worse. All right, so we finished the wall, and our next step is to actually set on it so that I can climb on it. And I'm really excited about how it turned out. It's 16.5 feet long, like 14 feet tall, or 14 feet long in the middle. So it's gonna be like amazing for basically circuits, boulders, anything. So it's basically exactly what I wanted, and I'm super excited about it. Basically what I'm going to start with is sorting through the holds, kind of figuring out what I want on the wall, what I don't want on the wall. Some of them are just like way too bad to go on a 45. 3 bins at my friend's house that I need to get actually.
Oh my god.
I know, I have so many. Purple Proj. And there's this one too. That one's pretty good. Be kind of cool. So I want to put big holds on sooner rather than later. They're harder to attach to the wall securely without T-nuts. So I'm just waiting to have all the tools I need to be able to do that. But that's basically because they take up so much more space that you want to make sure that they're like well dispersed among the wall, like across the wall, and then also that you don't like have to take holds off to put them on. As far as how long I think it might take to do the entire wall, to do it well is gonna take definitely a couple weeks. I'm gonna say at least 10 days of effort, with like effort being at least a few hours in those days. So yeah, I guess that's gonna be my final guess, and we'll see how long it takes comparatively. But it'll definitely take some editing too. Like once you're climbing on it, you usually have to move some things, tweak some things, add in some holds. You'll like go to move off a hold and be like, oh, it's way too bad, or there's nothing for me to go to, and so then that makes you know that you need to turn some things. One of the other really important things when you're setting a spray wall is you want to make sure that you don't have a bunch of holds in the same area that are doing the same thing. So if I have a crimp that's down pulling, right next to it, I don't want to put another crimp that's down pulling, because this hold is already doing that. So like if you're putting one here, you want to turn it a little bit, and then same with this one over here. So you just don't want all the holds in one area to be redundant. And so that's kind of why I'm starting with setting these climbs as well, because I know that they'll be here, and then I can use those to then put the holds next to it that are going to not be the exact same. Yeah.
So I've managed to fill in quite a bit. This section is really the density that I'm going for the whole wall, so I have a lot more left to do. But it's challenging because the whole time I'm like, am I making this too hard? Am I making it too easy? I don't actually know, because every hold obviously feels decent while you're putting it on the wall, but like actually using it and climbing on it is a whole nother story. But basically what I've been doing is anytime I put something on, I imagine what move I might do off of it, and I kind of look in that range and like look to see if there's something there that you would or could do a move to, and whether that move is easy, medium, or hard is kind of how I've been doing it. And then if I look and I'm like, okay, the only moves are easy over here, like there's only good holds, then I go, okay, I need to put some worse holds in that area. And that's kind of how I've been formulating the plan of getting everything on the wall.
Typically when you're setting a climbing wall like at a gym, there's T-nuts in the wall, and then you use bolts through these to bolt them on. They have like a washer built into it. But since I didn't T-nut the wall, I have to screw everything in, which gives me a lot more freedom, but it does take a lot more time during the setting process, because what you have to do essentially is countersink all these holes, which is just a type of drill bit that makes this screw hole essentially, so that the screw sits flush across the top. And so I'm gonna have to do that to every single hold to get them on the wall.
I only broke one hold so far. That was irreplaceable, but I was really nervous putting this guy on, because this one's like, so you cannot find these anymore. Same with this guy. They're so hard to find. I was so excited when I found those ones. So the other important thing is to kind of set some like standards while you're setting a wall. So I do have like a pinch climb and like a crimp climb that I set, that I usually tend to use like same series of holds for. And I have all these like bright green escape holds. So I figured I would set an actual circuit with them. That's like a hopefully 13CD level circuit, just to be like a base for the wall. And I think it'll like start here on this like lime green hold, and then I'll like have it circle around, just so that it's set, that you like don't even have to think about it. And then it can be like a standard for the wall as I go forward. So I also want the like holds for the circuit to be usable like throughout the wall also. So I'm like, it's making it harder to actually set something that. But anyway, these are essential if you're setting a spray wall with all screws, because this basically fills the T-nut hole and allows you to put a screw in it. And fun fact, Noah, who helped me build the wall, designed these. So thanks Escape for these. They're very useful. Yeah, so my focus right now is to kind of like not quite complete the whole middle section, but like get this, because this is the section that's going to be getting the most climbing, is like you start on the left, you're going to go towards the middle. If you start on the right, you're going to go towards the middle. So like this is going to get the most traffic, and so it's where I want to put the most love and like thought and care into what holds I'm using, and also use like my favorite holds, because I want them to be used a lot. I don't want them like way off on the outskirts where you're not going to use them as much. So right now I'm trying to finish the whole middle, and then I'll like keep adding to the outsides, but still try and put as much thought and care into it. But I want to use all my like good holds that I'm tempted to use right away in the section where they're going to get the most use.
Okay, so one of the hardest parts of most spray walls is actually the edges. So it's pretty easy to set a good middle, but then as soon as you get like further up the side or further towards the top, it just kind of like fizzles sometimes. So we're spending a lot of time today actually filling in the edges and making sure everything's usable. And then we'll like kind of work in towards the middle from there. So spending time figuring out if you can use them, whatever.
Incredible. And there's help today.
Woo!
We getting paid with coffee. Break your finger, baby.
There's many people. No, I guess not Bondo. We should do Sika.
No.
I was.
I knew that was coming.
Sí, patrón.
I don't think that hole deserves. That hole deserved to be here. I don't think it does. It's a little gross. That's very front and center. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you saw how important and special this whole process was to me. And really big thanks to Noah and everybody who helped set and build the wall, because I couldn't have done it without you all. So I really hope you liked it. And if you have any questions about how to build your own home wall, send them along.